Bronnie Ware was an Australian nurse who worked in palliative care, hospice care, with people who were at the last 12 weeks of their life. She would often ask these people what kind of regrets they had about the life that they had lived. And 5 themes came up again and again and again. Those 5 themes were: I wish I had had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the expectations that others had for me. 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. 3, I wish I had had the courage to express my feelings. 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And number 5, I wish I had let myself be happier. My name is Wes, and if you're new here, then thank you so much for joining. On this channel, we talk about mental health and relationships, and I give you ideas to improve both. I'm a psychotherapist in training, and in today's video, we are going to talk about memento mori, the idea of remembering that you will die, contemplating your own death, and by doing that, living a life that is truer to the life that you want to live, ideally is filled with fewer regrets. So this idea of contemplating death has been around for millennia. Every religious tradition has some kind of idea of contemplating death within it, and many philosophical traditions have the same idea of thinking about death, and because death is inevitable, identifying ways to make your life more meaningful. We all carry on legacy projects, trying to avoid the idea of death, trying to project ourselves into the future by having children who will remember our name, by creating works of art that will outlast us after we're gone, or creating work projects that will be recorded in the history books and will outlive us afterwards. All of these are strategies to avoid the idea of death. Instead of embracing death as a call to arms to make this life meaningful, what those actions are doing are trying to escape death by perpetuating ourselves into the future. What existential psychotherapy encourages us to do by taking from these religious and philosophical traditions is to contemplate our own death and think about, if this is the only time that we have here on earth, how can we make the most of it? How can we live a life that is true to who we are? A life of happiness and fulfillment. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 key steps that I believe will help you live a better life. And you can use these as kind of reflection questions yourself to help you consider, am I living the life that I really want to be living? Now, admittedly, not everyone is in the situation where they can live exactly the life of their dreams. However, despite major setbacks that you may be facing, you always have a choice to live a life that is in accordance with your values, and you have power over your attitude and approach to life. Number 1 is to practice living authentically. This goes back to the regret of living someone else's life or what someone else expected of you. Take some time to think about the things that you're doing in your life right now. Are you doing them because you want to be doing them, or because they are expected of you? Because someone at some point in your life told you that you needed to go become a lawyer, that you needed to have a family, that you needed to stay in the place that you're staying. Are those your dreams, or are they someone else's? Would you prefer to try something new, express yourself in a different way, wear different clothing, talk in a different way, move to another country? Think about the things that come up for you around this question. Are you living authentically? And take some time to reflect on this. Sometimes it can be really hard to tease out whether we're living the life that we want or the life that other people have created for us. And when it comes to trying to tease out this question, I often try to think of the people in my life who I'm closest to, and I try to think of the life that they would want from me, or the life that they have themselves, and the kinds of values that I think that they hold. If my life is in line with their values, and my life is in line with their expectations of what a good life is, then that brings up the question in my mind of, is this my life that I'm living, or am I living up to their expectation? And it may be true that their expectations are the same as yours, but you don't know unless you begin to question yourself. Number 2 is to practice being courageous. When I talk about being courageous, I think the image that comes up in my mind is somebody riding in on a horse like a knight in shining armor, trying to overthrow some kind of evil fantasy overlord. Maybe I'm just a nerd, I don't know. But being courageous doesn't have to be big and bold. It can be deciding to put on a different type of shirt than what you normally wear. It can be deciding to speak up at the dinner table the next time someone is saying something that you don't agree with. It can be deciding not to attend a certain event with people that you don't agree with the values of. Being courageous can look very small, but it can carry a lot of weight, because the more that you try to be courageous in your daily life, the more you build the skill, and the more that skill snowballs more and more into you being courageous and putting yourself out there, expressing yourself more boldly in life, and really living life to the fullest. Number 3 is to practice building strong relationships. So relationships have been shown by studies again and again to increase our level of happiness and fulfillment in life. Unfortunately, in today's world, more people in the Western world are more isolated than they ever have been before. This epidemic of loneliness is creating an epidemic of depression, of anxiety, of mental health crises, and it's only getting worse. What you can begin to do, take a survey of your closest friends and see how many you have. You don't need to have that many close friends, but you need to be trying to invest in relationships in whatever way you possibly can. If you are living in fear of reaching out to someone, remember that life is short, and reaching out can be the first step to rekindling a connection that you may have lost. Number 4 is to practice finding joy. Practicing finding joy, I think, comes down to 2 different things. One is allowing yourself to experience more joy on a day-to-day basis. The way that you can do this is by taking stock of the things that you're doing to sit on your joy. And the way you can do that is by being mindful throughout the day. You can start journaling about the things that happened in your day, or you can just kind of mindfully take stock of your mood throughout the day. If things are objectively going well for you throughout the day, then starting to notice whether or not you're feeling good about those things can begin to change your perception of them and lead you to take more action to find more joy within those everyday occurrences. I think a lot of the times we get used to the life that we're living and we forget to be grateful for the little things in life. Starting a gratitude journal can be a great way to kind of take stock of these things and begin entrenching the habit of noticing the good things around you on a day-to-day basis. The second thing is not dampening the happiness that you already feel. Have you ever eaten a really good meal, and at the end of that meal you look up and you realize that, oh, you could have had something else on the menu that looked really good, and so you don't feel as good about the meal that you just ate? Through this process of comparison, we end up dampening the joy that we already feel in the moment. We are looking at the things that we have accomplished, the things that bring us joy, and we're comparing them to other things. And the problem with this is that there will always be something out there that appears better than what you have. So the best way to combat this is to practice really savoring the joy of each moment that you feel happiness. A good example is when you get in the shower and you feel the water against your skin, really focusing on letting that joy seep into you, or after a good meal, or after exercising. All of these are good triggers to teach yourself to really experience that joy without comparison to others. And number 5 is to practice living with your values. So I have talked about values again and again. I will continue to. Values are a great way to give your life direction. They give your life meaning and purpose and show you that you are on the right path. Now you define your values. Other people don't define them for you. Go through the process of identifying what yours are and figure out the steps forward on a day-to-day basis that will help you walk in alignment with those values. By taking time to identify those, write them down, and notice them on a day-to-day basis. I set a reminder in my phone daily to check in on my values, make sure that I'm living in accordance with them. You're able to show yourself on a daily basis that you are living in the way that you want to be living. So remember, as we set goals for the new year, to put your life in perspective. A lot of times when we're young, we like to think that we have infinite time, but I just had a friend pass away recently in a tragic accident, and it made me realize just how important it is to think about these things, to think about how little time we actually have, how life could be gone in the blink of an eye, and it's really important to focus on how to make this life meaningful in the face of that inevitability. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are new to this channel, please give it a thumbs up, share it with somebody new who might find this helpful, and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate your support. Thank you.